And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man, DL Saint. Welcome to I Really Want to Know Slant Downrange podcast. I'm doing like a Simo thing. Normally I like to keep politics on downrange podcasts and we keep everything else over here. But what's going on in Israel, what's going on in the Middle East, and what's going on with the rest of the world is just it's just too big to just have on that one platform, right? And especially that's the smaller too. I really want to know is already small. We're over 1,600 subscribers. Hey man, we got 1,600 supporters and growing, but we're still not like huge. And over on Downrange, we had like 17 subscribers, like 17 supporters over there, which is great. But I didn't want to bury information over there. I kind of want everyone to see this stuff, man, especially what's going on with Israel and the Middle East and the rest of the world. So, man, we got brother Jack up in the building. We got our knights in the building. What's good, fam? All right, make sure you play that intro. Yeah, last time I didn't play the intro because it was not I really want to know. It was a DL short. I don't have an intro for that yet. And I don't have an intro for downrange yet. Chuchu's gonna hook it up for both when we get ready. We just haven't crossed that bridge yet, but that intro is fire, ain't it? So let's just start with that. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Yeah, shout out to Shushu for just bringing the heat. But yeah, I really want to know what's going on in the Middle East right now. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. This could go either way. The potential is there to spark a world conflict. It's there, right? It's there. And people like, nah, man, you making the stretch, man. Ain't no way a world conflict can start over something like this. World War I started over something way less. Way less. World War I was kicked off over an assassination. Archduke Ferdinand and his wife. And you had all these pacts, this country would back that country if that country went to war, and this country would back that country if that country went to war, and this country would back that country. And it happened. And the next thing you know, the entire planet was at war. America's always late to the party, though, when it comes to the First and Second World War. We didn't jump in until later, but this time, if it happens, yeah, we'll be there day one. So, man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy over there. We're gonna start off with breaking points. If you guys have already noticed, all this stuff is already linked in the description. We're gonna have quite a few videos we're gonna watch, man. We got some articles we're gonna pull up. So everything we talk about, everything we pull up on the screen is gonna be linked in the description below for those of you who are watching this on Team Replay. Go down there because I'm not gonna probably play the entire video. I'm not gonna read the entire article or whatever. So you can go back and you can like check the source material and just kind of go read it for yourself. But yeah, it's troubling. Put it to you that way. It's troubling what's going on right now. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, I can say that. I can say that honestly. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm wearing I'm just the Bill shirt. Right? I'm just the Bill. Right? We won't get any bills or laws anytime soon because we don't have a speaker of the House. It's where the bills are made. House, Congress, the House and the Senate. It gets sent up to the president's desk to get signed or vetoed. Our government is not functioning right now. Shout out to the Republicans. You know what I mean? Shout out to that dumbass Matt Gaetz. Shout out to the Trumpers. Y'all paralyzed the government. That's what y'all did over something stupid. Gaetz did it because Trump told him to. I ain't making this up. You got the Republican Party is at each other's throats right now. Y'all don't know that, do you? Fox ain't going to show you that. But if you watch Fox closely, they'll be talking about it. If you read some certain articles, you'll talk about it. Our government is in peril, and we are sending U.S. soldiers, sailors, and airmen into the furnace. Congress can't do anything. The president has the authority to, as commander in chief, to sign these orders and have these these elements move wherever they need to be moved, but Congress has to pay for it, right? We're paralyzed. Like, it's forget Republicans, forget Democrats, man, forget all that. If you care about America, if you care about Americans, if you care about the Constitution, y'all need to get on the phone and tell these elected officials to get off their ass and do their work, do their job. Do their job. There's even talk of bringing George W. Bush in to be the Speaker of the House, right? And I haven't heard anything from Trump, which is good. Even Trump is smart enough to know, like, hey, man, I'm gonna let the serious people take care of this, because even Trump knows, like, dang, this could be World War III. It's gonna mess up his money. He might be talking and no one's just listening to him. You know what I mean? But this is very, very critical. When you look at how all this stuff is lining up, this is very, very critical. Very, very critical. But let's start with, we're gonna start off with breaking points. I don't know if you guys have gone over the breaking points. You should. Man, breaking points is a great place to get your news. It is as biased as you're gonna get. Sagar and Crystal do their best to keep their feelings out of it for the most part, but the feelings will swell up. But they're doing their best. It's independent news. They're not run by any media. It's crowdfunded. Please go over there and support them. They're doing a really good job and of bringing the news. It used to be done by the media. NBC, ABC, CBS used to bring the news. They don't do that anymore, right? And then cable news, forget about it. You know what I mean? BBC, run by the British government. Al Jazeera, you know what I mean? Run by those people. You feel me? But at least Al Jazeera is going to give you one biased side. BBC and CNN and all, MSNBC and all the rest of it give you a different biased side. One from the east, one from the west. You can kind of sift through it and try to pick out the truth. Or you can go to breaking points and they'll give you a good helping of the information. And they only put out stuff that they can confirm, so they don't just be putting out fake news and all that. And while we get into this, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button when you guys come in. You know what I mean? And for those those guys, those people out there who are team Trump or team whatever, team radical, team conservative, team Democrat, team liberal, listen to the information. Don't come over here and get your feelings hurt because you don't like the words. Like, you said Trump's an idiot. You said Matt Gaetz is bad. Well, they are. But listen, hang out here and listen. Don't run away. Don't bury your head in the sand. Listen to what's going on. Because if this thing blows up, if it turns into a global conflict, all y'all are going to be involved. Lottie-dottie, every damn body. It is going to happen. If it turns into a global conflict, just think about it. Ukraine and Russia, that's still jumping off. If America gets into something, if America supports supports Israel, and Israel decides to attack Libya and Iran, America's going to attack Libya and Iran. And if America gets involved in that conflict, that means we can go ahead and get involved in all conflicts, which means we'll be getting involved with Russia and Ukraine. And if China makes a move, we'll be dealing with China along with Japan and South Korea, helping us out in the Taiwanese government. If China comes around and invades Taiwan, they're gonna, of course, they're gonna fight for their freedom. You see how that can happen just that fast? A global conflict. Look at World War II. There was fighting in Africa. There was fighting in Europe. There was fighting in Asia. 3 theaters. What are we looking at right here? Middle East, Europe, and Asia. 3 theaters. And at first, it won't be that big of an issue, but eventually they're going to need more soldiers, more Marines, more airmen, more sailors. And what's going to happen? You guessed it. They're going to go to a draft. That's it. You guessed it. Selective service is going to kick in. And we're going to see what time it is. All you feminists, get ready. You should demand you guys have to register for the draft as well. When it goes down, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens to equality for the races. Let's see what happens. Like, it is what it is. Like, what's with the free Palestine stuff? Yeah, man. Hey, bro, this is America, man. You're free to believe what you want to believe and act how you want to act. These people who are like pro-Palestine or whatever, Why don't you go? Why don't you go? You can go to Palestine. You can go over there. You can go to Gaza. It'd be hard to get in, but you can try. You can get into the West Bank, right? You want to go over there? Go over there. You can go to Turkey. Join those demonstrations over there, especially like the Alphabet Clan, the Alphabet Mafia. You want to go over there with your, make sure you have your pink hair and your rainbow flag and your American flag and your Bible, and tell everybody you gay. Let me know how that works out for you in the Middle East. Put your money where your mouth is. Y'all want to help Palestine? Go on over there and help them. Go on over there. That's all I'm saying. Go on over there and help them. Let me know how that works out for you. Right? Americans don't really understand what's going on. They don't understand the world. We're not educated over here, y'all. Just think about that. We're not educated. People don't want to, they just want to bury their head in the sands. They don't care. They can't find Gaza. They don't know where Israel is. They have no idea what the Gaza Strip is. They have no idea what the West Bank means. They don't know who Hamas is. They don't know who Hezbollah is, and they don't care. They're just programmed to put on a t-shirt and go protest, whatever. And I'm cool if you Palestinian American or whatever. That's fine. You know what I mean? Go over there then. Go over there and get involved. I see y'all ain't going nowhere. Everybody's just sitting here like, well, I don't know about that. I ain't trying to go to Gaza. I ain't trying to go to the West Bank. I ain't trying to live in Iran. I'm not trying to live in Jordan. I'm not trying to live in Syria. Right? Not trying to live in Lebanon. They here for a reason. And I ain't mad. It's cool. But I believe in free speech. Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say. Protest. That really is the American way. But when it's time, right, to go over there and fight, you better be standing tall with your right hand up, swearing to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. When it's time to go fight for this country, you better go fight. And if you don't, then you're going to have to leave. That's how I look at it. You should go ahead and leave then. You should go ahead and leave. Gator Racing's in the building. What's good, fam? That selective service going to have these females trying to get pregnant quick. Yeah, to avoid deployment. LOL. Absolutely. And that should be a crime during wartime. That should be a crime. Army should go ahead. Hey, here's your birth control. You get pregnant. That's a dishonorable discharge. We need you. We need everybody we can get. Every single one. But you're right about that, bro. Shout out to you. You know what I mean? A fellow vet. Like, we know what time it is. It's all good until it's time to step up. It's all good until it's time to get deployed, get your boots on the ground somewhere. But let's get into this, man. Let's start with what Joe Biden has to say. There's some things, again, these are all linked in the descriptions below if you guys want to go back and watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch a quick clip of this clip. They were showing Biden talking, since he came back from Israel. Actually, his mission is to go over there and talk to, Iran and to talk to all the other leaders of the East, of the Muslim world. It failed. None of them wanted to come talk. So he kind of, went over there and was like, yeah, we stand with Israel, and he came back. So just, we're just back where we started. Iran has been saying some very provocative things. Hamas is doing these horrific things and just, hiding right now from Israel. Now the IDF is showing up. They're hiding in their tunnels, like little cowards doing their thing. And then you got Hezbollah, who are firing weapons at the Israelis. And Biden had a lot to say about that. So let's pull this up and check this out, guys.
So that was an interesting, that was basically a matchup that our team did there. The major takeaway from the U.S. was Israel does not stand alone. The United States is behind you. But a slight note of caution, describing it, though, as 15 times 9/11, he's also like, also maybe exercise a little bit of restraint. He would certainly know, having participated in much of the war beating for up to Iraq. But this also really, what those comments came is after critical meetings, not only with Benjamin Netanyahu, but with the Israeli war cabinet. And in that war cabinet, we are learning more details from Israeli media about what Biden promised them. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Again, this is from the Times of Israel military reporter. He says, quote, the new Biden administration has privately been urging Israel not to launch a military campaign against Hezbollah. Washington is working to keep the current war from spreading beyond Gaza. The U.S. recognizes Israel must respond to the increased targeting targeting of its northern border Hezbollah since the October 7 onslaught. But repeated attacks by the Lebanese terror group, and fact that Israel failed to anticipate this assault, have led to the intensification of discussions about whether Israel must be the one to initiate a battle in order to maintain the upper hand. Let's go to the next one, because this is where things get.
So like he's reading this, and again, this is coming from the Israelis, defense ministers and all that kind of stuff, the people who actually wage war, right? This is what our government is saying to their government, and the U.S. is 100% behind whatever the IDF wants to do. I'm gonna keep it 100. We are 100% behind anything that Israel needs to do to rid the West, to rid the Gaza Strip of Hamas, right? So this is very important, guys. I need to understand something. Like, this is real. When America says that, like, yo, we got their back no matter what they do, this is real, right? And this next part is going to really, like, you're going to see what I mean. Brother Dinosaur's in the building. What's up? It's like, is Princess feeling better? The Gaza hospital bombings stopped the four-way talks going ahead, from going ahead, sadly. Yes. And there are reports trying to figure out who fired those munitions, who actually did that. And we're gonna get into that too in a little bit. We're gonna get into that. It's a lot going on with that, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. When Hamas did what they did and they attacked civilians and beheaded babies, infants, I'm all in for total war. I could care less. I'm all in. I'm like, nah, bro, we're gonna do what we gotta do. We're gonna go in here. We're gonna show you vicious. Oh, y'all thought y'all was bad. Let me show you what bad is. That's my take on it. Good thing I'm not in command. Good thing. But there are reports out there as to who was responsible for that hospital bombing. We'll see. And my daughter's good. We're having I didn't go live last night. I got some bad news on the family front. It's something that my family's dealing with. It's not me and my daughter, but family. So I was taking care of that and kind of get my head right. I wasn't in a correct space to do this. I was unable to communicate and sit up here in the attic and talk to my computer. I couldn't do it yesterday. I had to sort some other things out, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. But that's why I wasn't here. It wasn't us. My little girl's happy. She completed her desk. She put her desk together. We'll talk about that some other time, but she's so proud of herself. But let's continue with breaking points.
Very, very complicated for America. Such talk has been a cause of concern for the U.S., which is privately warning Hezbollah and Iran not to open a war on the northern front. The U.S. has cautioned Israel to be careful in its military responses, but here is the critical tweet. Biden officials have indicated to Israel in recent days, if Hezbollah initiates a war against Israel, the United States military will join the IDF in fighting the terror group. Let's go to the next one, please. The Pentagon has already dispatched a pair of aircraft carrier strike groups to the eastern Mediterranean near the Israeli border in order to deter Israeli and American adversaries in the region. Hezbollah has already fired dozens of anti-tank guided missiles, rockets, and mortars into Israeli positions. So this actually demonstrates, Crystal, that behind the scenes, President Biden did give a guarantee, or at least rhetorical assurance, that should Hezbollah officially enter this war, that the United States will back them. So originally it was talked about deterrence, this carrier strike group. But we have 2,000 United States Marines, which are on their way already to the region. I mean, certainly it's not like they've given us yet an indication of ground troops. But, I mean, this is a significant military declaration on behalf of the president. I can't help but think nobody in Congress ever voted for this, just so we're all aware. It's not like.
Yeah, because we don't have a functioning government right now. But so that tweet, that little bit of information, telling Israel, if Hezbollah attacks from the north, that America will go deal with them. That's major, major. I'm not an expert by no stretch of the imagination on that part of the world, but America's never made that kind of commitment, at least not out loud. Maybe in the back rooms with the cigars and and the cognacs and the whiskey. It was like, yeah, if they make a move, we got you. Now this is, hey, we're telling the whole world. We're telling Iran. Because here's the thing about that part of the world, right? Hamas, Hezbollah, any extremist paramilitary organization is getting their backing from Iran. period. And Iran has committed to destroying Israel. That's all they want. Like that's just bottom line. You know, you got that whole Sunni Shia thing, but you have all of the Muslims, including Turkey now and their leadership. They're like, nah, we'll back Iran if it came down to that. So Iran is out here making trouble for Israel in the West Bank, in Gaza. Iran is training and supporting the terrorists who are murdering and beheading infants that are Jews. Right? This is all coming from Iran. Everyone knows it, especially Israel. Everyone knows it. America just came out and said, well, look, Israel, take care of Gaza. And if Hezbollah does something, we'll take care of them. Basically, we got your back. We'll take care of the North. Y'all take care of the South. There's already a carrier group in the Mediterranean. There's another carrier group on the way to the Mediterranean. And when you talk about the support vessels, right, it's about 1,500, it's about 2,000 Marines that are a part, like 2,000 Marines or so, that are a part of these carrier strike forces. There's 2 carrier strike forces, right? So like 4,000 Marines between the two. And then, generally speaking, you depend on what ships they have with them. And then on each aircraft carrier is like 1,500 Marines on each carrier alone. Like, so there's 2 big carriers, and on those big carriers, you got like 1,500 Marines. That's a lot of Marines, right? And the Marines come with their amphibious landing stuff. They come with their helicopters, right? Their CH-53s. They come with their Cobras, the attack helicopters. They come with their Harriers and everything else they need, Ospreys, all that, for the Marines to do what the Marines do. Marines are amphibious. Beach landings are their thing. All of this has coastline. When you look at Gaza and all that, it's all flanked by the water. A lot of people may not remember this, but we talked about this when this all first popped off. The 101st Airborne Division is in Jordan right now. They were there for training. They were already slotted to be there. They are there right now. So you got the 101st Airborne Division sitting there. Right? You got the 82nd Airborne Division and the rest of the 18th Airborne Corps in North Carolina. I guarantee you they're on alert. They can be there within 18 hours or less. Less now because they are ready to go. You can have a core size element in the Middle East dealing with this if the president says go. America's ready. 2 aircraft carrier strike groups are in the Mediterranean right now, either there or on their way right now. The 101st Airborne Division on the ground. 82nd Airborne Division could be anywhere on the planet in less than 18 hours, and they know where they're going. So trust me, they can get there. Right now, they're ready to go. As soon as they get the order, they load up on C-17s, and they can land at the airport, or you just open the door and they jump out. They could be anywhere. You need them in the North Bank, they could be in the North Bank. You need them in Iran, they could be in Iran. You need them to deal with something that Turkey's doing, they can be there. Not to mention our U.S. Air Force bases that are all over Europe, Asia, right? I have no idea what this means for NATO. This thing could get big, y'all. This thing could be this. When I heard that, I was just shit. I was scratching my head. I'm like, what? The U.S. government just said that we will take care of Hezbollah if they attack? Like, we'll take care of Hezbollah? Word? Like that. We're going to watch a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
Like the 2001 AUMF can cover Hezbollah, although I'm sure the White House lawyers will try. But it just, again, though, underscores that President Biden's visit was not just to try and quote unquote tamp down tensions or to give assurances. There were also military talks happening behind the scenes, which absolutely, and something we've tried to underscore here from the beginning, could embroil and bring the United States into this war at a very, very immediate direction.
Something Emily and I covered yesterday is this report in Axios suggesting that these discussions had taken place within the U.S. Government context. And one of the things they laid out in Axios is the legal justification that they would use to get involved in these hostilities with Americans without having to go to the American people, let alone go through Congress.
And she's got a good point there. Yep. And Brother Kaito's like the 173rd Airborne is right there in Italy. Absolutely. Right there in Italy. They're closer to Ukraine, so they can use them to shore that up. We got armor elements in Germany, right? Again, right there to take care of Ukraine, to take care of, Russia, kind of get Putin on his back heels. Or like they're airborne. They can be dropped anywhere. And Brother Dino's like, this is the bigger madness. W. Bush taking out Saddam made Iran's power of influence stronger over Iraq. Yeah, and that was something that when we removed Saddam Hussein, that's when all stability left. That's when that Arab Spring came along. That's when Gaddafi fell. You look at, it gave Iran all the power because Saddam kept them under heel. This is all of America's making. That's a great point. This is all of America's making. And like people, again, Americans don't have a long enough memory. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Saddam Hussein, when you look at 9/11, Saddam Hussein in Iraq had nothing to do with the attacks on 9/11. No one from his country, no one with any ties to Saddam Hussein had anything to do with the attacks on 9/11. Yet that's the country we invaded, right? Because W was mad because like Saddam said he was going to kill my dad. Well, that's what happens in war, homie. Right? That's what happens. But the rest of the region, right, you look at that list of all those people involved in the attacks of 9/11 came from everywhere else in that region, including Saudi Arabia. And I tell people all the time, Saudi is not our ally. The 1% love them because of all that money. But the Saudis, when we were over there, it didn't take me long to realize, man, we fighting the wrong people. I don't know why y'all worried about the Iraqis. They need to be worried about these Saudis. And then what did Saudi Arabia give us? Osama bin Laden. Right? They knew what he was doing. They come on now. He's part of the royal family. So what you think Saudi is going to do with this regional problem right now? What do you think Saudi is going to do? They're going to stand with us and stand with Israel? No, they are not. No, they are not. Like this whole thing is just, it could escalate so fast. We could wake up Monday morning and there are already attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq, right? It's in Afghanistan, right? It's going to continue. They're already attacking U.S. bases. They're using drones. I mean, our soldiers are ready for it, but they're using drones. So it's kind of already begun, hasn't it? And Crystal's here. She's talking about the, legal ramifications and what legal justification are we going to use for this, that, and the third. Like, come on, man, ain't nothing legal about war. If you're going to do it, do it. You know what I mean? If you're going to do it, do it. It's just what it is. Yeah, Austin Band pinned Lebanon by speeding the 2 aircraft carriers. Hey, man, it's chess, man. It's like we got we got dumb people playing chess, bro, and with real implications on here. And you got to understand something. Whenever we move assets like this, right, there's a lot of U.S. vessels out there in the Mediterranean. There are drones, seaborne drones that Ukraine is using it over, like, on the Russians right now. You mean to tell me that we don't believe for a heartbeat that Hezbollah is not going to use some of these seaborne drones? These like basically drone boats that explode on contact. They're not going to be like use these drone boats to drag some mines out there and try to destroy, cripple or destroy some of these military assets. Of course they're going to do that. Americans are going to have to fire on Middle Eastern people. They're going to have to fire on Hezbollah. They're going to have to fire on Hamas. We're going to have to fire on Iranian assets. And Turkey has sent some warships into the region. Right? Turkey has already said we're back in Iran. So what are we supposed to do if a Turkish warship gets too close to some of our people? Right? It's you. Do you see what I mean? Like we are right there. We're in it. It's just a matter of, okay, everybody's staring at everybody. Everybody got their guns out. Everybody got their weapons out. Okay. Everyone's pointing their weapon. They're just waiting for a noise. They're just waiting for something to happen. And once it does, no one's going to be able to control it. No one's going to be able to control it. And Brother Coyote, it's like Coyote Racing 1320. As much as Saudi dislikes Iran, they hate Israel way more. Facts. Facts. They will come together to try to destroy Israel. Just like Jordan and Egypt and Syria and Lebanon tried to do, right? They failed, but they tried. Egypt doesn't want the smoke. They don't want it. The Egyptians don't want the smoke. It was the Egyptians who warned the Israelis that the attack was coming 3 days before the attack. Egypt doesn't want the smoke. But if push comes to shove, I don't think they're going to sit this one out. But they really don't want the smoke. I don't know how they're going to act. Maybe they'll say, hey, we're just neutral in all this, and we're just going to be here to help, with humanitarian aid and stuff like that. Let's continue with the video.
What they say is that under commonly held understandings of Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, the president can enter U.S. forces into hostilities to protect Americans abroad. So they would use the fact that there are Americans in Israel who could potentially be in danger to justify us getting involved. This expert added that if Biden were to make that decision, he'd need to notify Congress within 48 hours under the War Powers Resolution of 1973. That would give Biden 60 days to act before Congress's approval to use military force would be required. And we, of course, have seen many times presidents use authorities without going to Congress whatsoever and getting us involved in various conflagrations abroad. So this is a very, very real possibility, especially as we look, in the wake of that horrific hospital carnage, and you see the protests and anger erupting in cities across the region. You see protests outside of U.S. embassies, Israeli embassies. You see Palestinians clashing with police in the West Bank. So the level of anger and outrage throughout the region is incredibly heightened, which puts a lot of pressure on Hezbollah to do more. So far, they've sort of calculated, like, we can do just enough to signal our solidarity without this going into a broader escalation. But there is a huge, huge risk here. And the fact that the U.S. is explicitly telling the Netanyahu government, if we go there, we will have your back, we will involve our military, is incredibly consequential.
Yeah, I'm not so.
I've never heard that before. I've never heard the U.S. say that before. And Brother Dino, you're right. You can forget about the two-state solution. Hamas did away with that. Israel's never coming out of Gaza again. I guarantee you that. I put everything on that. Israel will never come out of Gaza again. They're gonna do what they got to do. They're gonna hunt down and eradicate Hamas. They're gonna do that, and then they're gonna stay right in Gaza forever. And they're gonna keep their eyes on everyone. They're gonna do what they do. Now, that's it is what it is. I talk to people about this all the time. They're like, well, what should the poor people, the poor Palestinians who are caught in the middle, what should they do? Like, they should tell the Israelis where all the tunnels are. They should tell the Israelis where all the guns are. They should tell them Israelis where Hamas fighters are. Where are the rockets? Where are the rocket launchers? Where are the mobile rocket launchers? Where are the fixed base rocket launchers? Right? Tell Israel, give them real intel. That's what you should do. Let the Israelis come in there and take care of business. Let them know where all the booby traps are. Let them know where the IEDs are. Let them know when Hamas is about to make a move or set up an ambush, because the Palestinians know. Hamas is wrong for embedding all of their military assets among the people. They're using people. So when the Israelis attack, they're like, oh, you just attacked these innocent folks. They ain't innocent. They know what this stuff is. You need to tell the Israelis where the bad guys are so the Israelis can deal with the bad guys. Simple as that. And if you're not willing to do that, then you suffer. That's my take on it. You can suffer. People are like, oh man, you just sound so heartless. And bro, that's war, man. What would you do if somebody came in there, just, wiped out your family and removed the heads of the infants? What would you do? You want to use your words? What words you plan on using? I'm not using my words. You come in like that, you come in hot and heavy. Only words I got for you are this.
Get some. Get some. Get some. Get some.
Those are the only words I'm using. If you come in like that, when you hunt and execute civilians, when you attack young adults at a concert, at a festival, unarmed, nah, man, I ain't got no words for you. You can get some. You can get some, and whoever's helping you can get some too. Those are the only words I'm using. Hamas did that. Right. Dr. B is right. Yeah. Bullets become words at that point. Bullets, mortar, right? 105 and 155, artillery shells, all that. You want to hear me talk? I'm going to sing for you. I'm going to call in an AC-130 gunship and let that sing for you. That's what it sounds like when they open up that minigun. When they open up that Vulcan. Yeah, that's us chanting. Right? Where the bad guys at? Oh, you don't remember? You remember now? We're getting closer to your house. Where the bad guys at? Oh, yeah, they got some cannons on there too. You hear that? Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they got that too. Where the bad guys at? I bet you remember we get closer to your crib. That's war, y'all. Yeah, it's horrific. It's horrible. And here's another thing. You're worried about what Congress is going to do, and all the you got the hawks in Congress, Democrats and Republicans who want to go to war, especially with Iran. Then you got the doves who are like, no, war's not the answer, and all this other kind of stuff. Once one of our naval vessels get hit, like the Cole got hit way back in the day when it was trying to refuel, once something like that happens and sailors get hurt, God forbid we lose sailors, one of these ships sinks. Once that happens, it's a wrap. Congress like, yeah, go deal with them. Go deal with them. So that's not a problem. And besides, Congress can't do anything if they wanted to. We don't have a Speaker of the House. It's kind of crazy what's going on right now, man. It's kind of crazy. So that's a good, like I said, that's about 17 minutes. This video is linked in the description. Go watch that whole thing. And they got their coverage, Breaking Point's coverage on what's going on in the Middle East is just top notch. I mean, they really should get an award or something. Maybe we should come up with an award and send it to them. So, and there's an article here, live updates. This is Associated Press. Let's pull this up real quick. And let's see what the Associated Press is talking about. So this is just live updates. Current U.S. assessment is Israel not responsible for Gaza hospital blast, White House says. Now, here's the thing. The White House is saying that Israel's not responsible for the attack on that hospital that killed all those innocent civilians, it blew up the building. I mean, bro, would they tell us if Israel was responsible? This is kind of where, I'm kind of like, would they tell us? The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Wednesday that limited humanitarian aid will be allowed into Gaza from Egypt following a request from President Joe Biden. So you see, the Israelis are listening. They're listening to Joe. They're listening to our president. Like, hey man, we're gonna need some aid in there. But it's letting aid in there is also, you could be letting in munitions, you could be letting in reinforcements, other fighters. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You got to try to help the people there. The president's visit came after hundreds of people were reported killed in an explosion at a Gaza Strip hospital. There were conflicting claims of who was responsible for the hospital blast. Hamas officials in Gaza quickly blamed an Israeli airstrike, saying nearly 500 people were killed. Israel denied it. Israel denied it was involved and released a flurry of video, audio, and other information that it said showed the blast was instead due to a rocket misfire by Islamic Jihad, another militant group operating in Gaza. Islamic Jihad dismissed that claim. So you got Hamas, you got Islamic Jihad, right? That's in Gaza. And then in the West Bank, you got Hezbollah. And you see what they're dealing with? There's probably some ISIS people in there, right? You see what they're dealing with? And it says the Associated Press has not independently verified any of the claims or evidence released by the party. So we still don't know who did it. We still don't know who did it, right? And then this it goes into a timeline that talks about everything that happened. But I wanted to, cover that because Brother Dino had brought it up. And I was, reading this stuff. It's like, well, they really don't know who fired the rocket to hit the hospital. Do I think the Israelis did it on purpose? No. Is it possible the Israelis did it? Some sort of mistake? Yes. Hamas was saying it was an airstrike. Don't know. Israel is saying that it was Islamic Jihad that did it. Misfired a rocket or something like that. Okay, maybe. And Hamas said they had nothing to do with it. Is Hamas capable of targeting innocent civilians? Yeah. Right? Yes. Do you think for a moment that Hamas wouldn't strike their own people if that can help them in their goals to destroy Israel? Of course they will. They absolutely will. Fire on their own people, blow up, destroy their own people. They've embedded all of their military equipment and personnel among the civilians that they know are innocent. So yeah, man, it's really hard, man. You just don't know. You just don't know. You feel me? You just don't know, Brother Jack's like, scare the ish out of them. Not scare them, bro. You see somebody get turned into a cloud of mist, red mist, bro. You gonna, all right, I don't want that to happen to me or my people. So yeah, they over there. You gotta you gotta use brute force, man. You know what I mean? Vax on YouTube have a 4-part, 1 hour in total series on the history to 2016. It's excellent. Okay. On Vox on YouTube. I'm about to check that out, bro. It's like B2s. I mean, it's too many people in the Gaza Strip to use a B2. I mean, there's laser guided munitions that you can use, but B2s drop a lot, bro. They drop a lot. You can't. Nah, and just flying them over, they fly so high. Like, nah, bro. If you want to scare them, Apaches, F-18s, really, like, AC-130 gunships, bro. You want to scare somebody? That's the way to do it, bro. Just to see that thing flying around, man, it's like something out of Star Wars, bro. Like, you see all the lasers coming off the C-130, scanning, looking for targets and whatever. Like, it's scary, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. And that's our equipment. I've been on missions, man. You just looking, you see that that AC-130 coming, man. You know what I mean? Call sign is always something like spooky or death. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, death 1-1 inbound. Get your heads down, boys. We coming in. That kind of stuff, bro. Like, yeah, Spectre. Yeah, bro. Man, look. Like, when they're coming, somebody is leaving this world. You know what I mean? That's scary, man. That's scary. You know what I mean? It hit the hospital car park. It hit the parking garage or whatever. The damage isn't a U.S. Israel missile. Huh. So, I mean, I hope that can be verified, bro. And I mean, I just don't see Israel hitting a target like that. I just don't. If they had a target of value close to a hospital, they would just send in their troops. And here's the thing. SEAL Team 6 is on the ground. They've been on the ground, right? Delta Force is on the ground. They've been on the ground. You got access to some of the best operators on the planet who are there in theater. So if you need to go verify, okay, we need to hit this target that's going to be close to a hospital. We need to make sure it's there. You can send those guys in there. They won't be seen. They will not be seen. They can go in there, sneak and peek. We got satellites could take pictures. So I really don't think Israel did it. But like I said, man, you just don't know until you get verification. That's just how it works. So Iran sends a deadly message to Biden with Hamas attack on Israel. Let's take a look at this article. It's and this is from The Hill. So, and this was October 9th. This article came out. Iran sends deadly message to Biden with Hamas attack on Israel. So right off rip, the Iranians are, they're getting in the mix, bro. Right. And this article begins, regardless of whether Iran plotted and ordered the massive Hamas attack against Israel over the weekend, Tehran's backing and support of Palestinian militant groups sends a clear and defiant message to Washington. Like I said, everyone knows Iran is behind it, no matter what. They're behind it. They train them, they arm them, they give them financial support, they give them military support, right? They're sharing intel with them. They're letting them, there would be no Hamas without Iran. There would be no Hezbollah without Iran. Right? And everyone knows this. The U.S. has yet to confirm a direct involvement from Tehran in the operation, but officials acknowledge Iranians are indirectly complicit in training, funding, and supporting Hamas. So there's nothing really to prove. Like, yeah, we know they're behind it. Right? So it is what it is. The Hamas invasion, the worst attack on Israel in 50 years, shows Tehran is increasingly willing to damage U.S. allies and, in effect, try to weaken American influence through proxy groups. It comes as Iran's influence as a regional power appears on the rise, right? Because we got rid of Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein kept them in check. Right? You go all the way back, like Iran has never been a friend of America. You go all the way back to them taking over the embassy under Jimmy Carter's administration. That's when we had the failed Delta Force operation that was going to go in and get the hostages out. And Carter worked on that until his last day in office, trying to get, arranged for the release of the hostages. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize, but that mission, we all know about the helicopters that crashed in the desert. We lost a lot of Delta operators that day. It was horrific. It was a bad look for America. But what people don't realize is the Rangers had already taken and secured an airport in Iran that was going to be used to exfil all of the Delta guys, all the operators, and all of the hostages out. And the Rangers had made contact with some Iranian soldiers that was very bad for the Iranians. And Americans took a lot of prisoners. Those Rangers, and I believe it was I don't know which Ranger regiment it was. I want to say it was the 75th Ranger Regiment, those scrolled out guys. This was way back then. This happened. We in essence kidnapped a bunch of Iranian civilians and brought them back with us. When the mission was canceled, the Rangers had to leave and they took the people with them. They found like a tour bus. It was like a tour bus they had to stop, and they seized the people on the tour bus. They didn't know what to do with the folks. So I just bring them back to America. It's in a book. You can read about it. You can definitely read about it. You know what I mean? It's Progress in Motion Studios. What's good? Welcome. Progress in Motion Studios. I've seen some of your stuff, yeah. I want to say that sounds familiar. Progress in Motion. Yeah, I was watching one of your videos. Progress in Motion. I was watching one of your videos, man. What was I just watching it about? Was it about something about Florida? I can't remember. But anyway, welcome. Welcome. Actually, I wrote a note. I think I want to react to it, I think. So it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, Iran's gonna have to be dealt with, bro, at some point. At some point. Jonathan Spire, director of research at the Middle East Forum, said Iran seeks to defeat Israel with a strategy of death by 1,000 cuts. They intend to reduce the morale of the Israelis, to cause Israel to lose faith in their institutions, to cause Israelis to quit Israel, says Spire. That's the reason why they're backing Hamas. That's the reason why they created Hezbollah. They intend to try to surround Israel with what we would call a hybrid military force. And they make it no secret, bro. They make it no secret. Iran has denied any role in the brutal surprise attack by Hamas, but has welcomed the news, reportedly with celebrations of what Iranians are calling a Palestinian victory. They know about the atrocities that have been reported that happened on that day, and they're celebrating it. That lets you know lets you know who we're dealing with. They're celebrating it. I mean, I don't know how you can celebrate killing innocent women and children, bro. I don't understand that. Both Hamas and Iran have publicly acknowledged a strategic partnership. They hold separate goals in the decades-long conflict with Jerusalem, but those aims appear to have aligned during the early Saturday attack, which has left hundreds dead in Israel and fighting still flaring up in the south near Gaza. Iran has for years been fighting a shadow war against Israel through proxy groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, and others. Tehran considers Israel an American client states hostile to Muslims. Right. So everything that they're doing to the Israelis, they want to do to the Americans. Everything. I mean, you look at all that time we spent, 20 years we spent bogged down in Afghanistan and Iraq, you know what I mean, dealing with what we were dealing with. Everything that's going on in the middle, everything they're doing there, trying to do to it, to what they're doing, the attacks on Israel, the attack on the Jews, they want to do to the Americans. And there's so many Americans who don't understand that. That's why I'm a big proponent of, hey, man, if you support, the Palestinians, you support this, go over there. Take your rainbow flags over there. Take your partner over there. Go hold hands. Make sure you bring the Bible. Go over there. Let them hear you speak in English. Go on over there. And let me know how that works out. You know what I mean? And then the article continues, about, the diplomacy that's breaking down over this. It talks about Saudi Arabia. As Israel and Saudi Arabia have worked to normalize relations, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in early October leveled a sharp warning. The position of the Islamic Republic is that countries that make the gamble of normalization with Israel will lose, he said. According to Iranian state media, they are betting on a losing horse. So the Iranians are telling the Saudis not to normalize relations with Israel. Right? That's what they're telling them. And again, all this stuff is linked in the bios, guys. You guys want to go read the whole thing on your own. You see, it's not that there's the potential for something to happen. Things are already happening. It's already happening. If like 2 carrier strike forces are over there in the Mediterranean right now. Right? Probably over 5,000 Marines. You got the naval aviators. You got squadron upon squadron of F-18s. They could do their thing, right? All the other air assets they have over there. Right? The Marines bring all of their amphibious landing stuff so they can land anywhere they need to land and do whatever they need to do. You got the 101st Airborne Division in Jordan. Just chilling. The 101st Airborne Division. You got the 82nd Airborne Division standing by Fort Bragg, North Carolina. They're ready to go anywhere. And Brother Kaido was telling us the 173rd Airborne is in Italy. They can take care of anything it needs to. If anything flares up in Europe, Eastern Europe, they can handle that. Like it's just crazy, man. And Brother Dino was saying they didn't think it was another group, an untrained, jihadi group. It's tons of them over there, man, and it's crazy. Yeah, American firepower ain't no joke, bro. But when you're dealing with radicals, man, they don't care, especially people who are looking forward to sacrificing themselves, man. Raised to be that way from little kids. Like, I can't wait to sacrifice myself for whatever. That's just right. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. The only other military force that had that kind of mentality, man, what is Imperial Japanese Army with the Bushido Code. And they got it from their samurai ancestors. And the samurai were vicious, bro. So it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's saying man. It's I'm just reading what Brother Dino was saying. Obama had around checking with the nuclear deal, which was working, and who blew it? It was clown. Obama's living rent free in the sad mind of the big dummy. Yeah, talking about Trump. Yeah, man. Like this stuff is so far above Trump, bro. And Trump just doesn't surround himself with the right people. He tries, but then he runs them away because, I mean, he's just not capable of doing this sort of thing. Biden is capable, but he's old, and he doesn't project the strength and competency that you would want from a leader. But trust and believe the people he got around him. He's making the right moves. He has the right people. He has the right team. Jay Swans and I were talking about this the other day. He has the correct team. He's getting the correct intel. He's making sound moves. But when he's standing there and you listen to him and you look at him, it's just like, oh no. If I'm the enemy and that's y'all leader, I'm coming for you. Like, I'm coming, bro. But look at that. Like, oh, we could take him. You see the pictures of all the fat Americans. Yeah, we could take them. I'm coming for you. They don't, they're going to run into a buzzsaw, of course. But yeah, man, this is why leadership is so important, guys. This is why Americans, it's why you got to pay attention to politics. You have to vote and vote for who you believe is going to be best for the country, not for your political team. You know what I mean? Because this is crazy. So here's another one. There's another article I want to kind of glance at. I mentioned it earlier. We were talking about Turkey. Right? That's another Islamic State, right? Like they're just, it is what it is. I used the wrong term. I shouldn't say it's another Muslim country. I shouldn't say Islamic State, but it's another Muslim country. And they've been our longtime allies since after World War I. But Turkey, man, fury grows in Turkey against Israel. Fresh protests are staged. This was October 18th, so this was yesterday. Right. And you got pictures of people, like you got a lot of people coming out, man. You see the lines have been drawn, right? You got the Muslim countries, and then you got the westernized countries, which is basically, America backing the Jewish state, Israel. So, and then we can assume our normal allies will stand with us. We can assume the United Kingdom will stand with us. We can assume France will stand with us. Germany will stand with us. NATO will be with us. We can assume these things. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, when it's time to start shooting, I don't know if they're going to want to commit troops and stuff like that. Japan ain't going to want to send any troops because they're worried about China. Same goes for South Korea, right? Same goes for Taiwan. So I don't know, but let's get into this. Turkish protesters staged a fresh anti-Israel demonstration on Wednesday as Turkey was set to declare 3 days of mourning following a blast that killed large numbers of Palestinians at a Gaza hospital. Now, here's the thing. Even if it's confirmed that it wasn't an Israeli bomb that did this, they're still going to blame the Israelis. Palestinian officials said that the blast at Al-Alali al-Arabia hospital was caused by an Israeli airstrike. Israel blamed the blast on a failed rocket launch by a Palestinian Islamic Jihad group, which denied responsibility. So if it comes out that the Israelis are right, they still won't care. They still won't care. President Erdogan in Turkey called the explosion the latest example of Israeli attacks devoid of the most basic human values. Turkey's presidential communications office quickly branded Israel's claim fake news on social media platform X. I wonder where they got that term from, fake news. You see how all this starts to kind of play, right? You look at someone like Trump and what he's done in America with American politics, and he's got people questioning everything. Now everything's fake news. Everything's fake news. Now you got deep fakes out there that really is fake news. And you have people who are just so cynical that they won't sit back and just take the real information and work with it. So it's the people of Turkey want blood, and there's nothing you can tell them. You can't tell them like, well, it's a fact. It's real. If it is in fact proven that Israel had nothing to do with that attack, it doesn't matter to the people of Turkey. They still gonna want to. No, it's fake news. They want to do what they want to do, and what do they want to do? They want to attack Israel. Erdogan declared 3 days of mourning in Turkey late on Wednesday for the Palestinians killed at the hospital in Gaza. Overnight, Turks marched with Palestinian flags and chanted slogans denouncing Israel in at least a dozen Turkish cities. You know what I mean? So Turkey and the Turkish people want to come after Israel. Right? Iran is behind it all. You look at what's going on in Lebanon, right? You look at Egypt and Syria, Jordan. You know, they might be forced into this. Saudi Arabia, they might be forced into this. They might be forced. And these people are getting upset at not just Israel, but Americans. They're protesting at the Israeli embassies and they're protesting at the American embassies. They're all amped up and ready to go. Police used pepper spray and water cannons to disperse thousands of protesters who tried to enter the compound of Israeli consulate in Istanbul, Turkey's largest city. 5 people were detained. The Istanbul governor's office said. Israel National Security Council issued a warning against travel to Turkey, citing fears that Israelis would be targeted by those angry at the war. It also urged Israeli citizens in Turkey to leave as soon as possible. I mean, damn. And following the NSC's appeal, Israeli airlines arranged flights from Istanbul late on Wednesday for Israelis who want to leave Turkey. I want to be at home. That's all, said an Israeli woman who declined to give her name, told Reuters while in line for the check-in at the airport. On Wednesday, there was a large security presence around the consulate with hundreds of police officers around, 10 water cannon vehicles deployed behind a line of metal barriers. Police conducted identity checks on those seeking to pass through. You know what I mean? Protests held fresh demonstrations near consulates of Israel and the United States in Istanbul on Wednesday evening. A few hundred protesters marched following a symbolic funeral prayer held for those killed in the hospital. The U.S. consulate in the southern city of Adana will remain closed until further notice, and U.S. government personnel have been instructed to minimize movement in Turkey due to protests. The U.S. embassy said that in a statement. So you can see, I guess, all kind of stuff popping off. All kind of stuff popping off. 134 is in the building. What's good, fam? All kind of stuff popping off. Progress in motion pictures and studios. Oh, I forgot to give you a horn blast. There you go. That's for you, bro. Thanks for coming through, people. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. So this last thing I kind of wanted to, well, there's 2 more things we're going to do and we're going to wrap this up. And I'm just looking at Wall Street right now. It looks like the Dow is barely positive. The S&P is down a little bit. NASDAQ is down a little bit. Yesterday was a big day. All 3 were down huge yesterday. So it's kind of like basically where it ended yesterday is where they are right now. That's according to CNN. I think that's correct. Let's pull this up. But you see how countries have already begun to pick, they're choosing sides. You know where Iran stands. You know where Turkey stands. Turkey has committed naval assets to this thing, right? We can pretty much guarantee that Saudi Arabia is going to side with, Iran and Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. They're all going to side over there. So all of the Muslim nations are pretty much rallying up together. And it's going to be all of them versus Israel and America, which my money's on Israel and America. I mean, it's crazy. And all Israel is doing is trying to defend itself. Right? Iran says they want to eradicate the Jews. They want to destroy the Israeli state. They have no choice. They have to protect themselves, guys. They have to protect themselves. Looks like all the markets are down right now. The market's still open. I mean, you still got a couple hours before it closes, but it looks like they're all kind of pointing down. So this right here, from Russia to the Middle East, why China can't afford another big conflict. A lot of people are talking about, like China and Russia are starting to come together and do some stuff, but You know, I'm not sure if China wants to deal with it. Beijing is once again trying to have it both ways. It has spent over a year tiptoeing over Russia's war in Ukraine. The Asian superpower has refused to condemn the invasion and instead provided much needed diplomatic and economic support for Moscow. Now, as Israel's war against Palestinian militant group Hamas threatens to spiral into a broader conflict that could shatter stability in the Middle East, China has called for a ceasefire while criticizing Israel's actions. It has also notably not condemned Hamas for carrying out what has been called the worst single day massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, while voicing its support for a two-state solution for Palestine and Israel. Right? So China's talking the talk, but not walking the walk. Right? They don't want to they don't want to condemn Hamas for what they did. Right? But they want to shake their finger at Israel. They don't want to condemn Putin for what he did, invading Moscow. Right? But they want to support him and send him money and help and all that kind of stuff. So China has their own interest. But China is definitely backing, in this case, they're going to back the Muslim states, like the Muslim governments. They're not going to back America. They're not going to back Israel, obviously. And they're backing Russia for whatever play they might be thinking about. It's obvious they don't want to deal with this. They don't want to get mixed in this. But they got something they might be thinking about doing. Right now, is Israel's war against Palestinian militant group Hamas started on it? Okay, yeah, and that was, my bad, I lost my place. The stance is in keeping with China's decades-long support for Palestinian statehood, but also underscores sharp division between China and the United States, which have staunchly backed Israel's right to retaliate against Hamas. It also highlights China's deep economic interest in both Russia and the Middle East, which it wants to safeguard at all costs. I mean, and then you look at what they said about a two-state solution. Everyone knows that's never going to work. And everybody also knows that Israel's never coming out of Gaza. Not now. They're never going to come out again. The world's second largest economy depends on Russia and the Middle East for much of its energy needs. There are also an important part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, an ambitious yet controversial undertaking to boost connectivity and trade across the world with Chinese money and know-how in infrastructure and development. Yeah, that's China going to like places that America and the rest of the Western world ignores. A lot of countries in Africa, a lot of countries in Central and South America, where they kind of go in and basically for free, they'll make all kind of infrastructure, right? This is what China was doing. But what China would do is, yeah, we'll build you the dams, we'll build your railroads, we'll build your highways, but we kind of own it now. It's ours. I'm going to fly the Chinese flag over that. And, some poor country somewhere, they're like, yeah, great. So they're kind of like trying to win hearts and minds. It's an easier way to take over. Yeah, we'll build a harbor. We'll build ports, but they belong to us. And if this thing becomes profitable, we're keeping all the money. So it's a brilliant move. You know what I mean? It's a brilliant move. Brother Dino is saying Trump's female lawyer doing January 6th made a deal. All those lawyers made deals, bro. That's another reason Trump is going to be quiet, man. And New York, the state of New York is getting into his pockets, man. If they can prove that, it was that fraudulent activity with his accounts and stuff, and they can start seizing his accounts, bro. He won't have the money to defend himself. He's getting set up hard. You know what I'm saying? Mandrell's in the building. What's good? My favorite snake eater. Good to see you, brother. We over here talking about what could and what may and may not happen over in the Middle East. So back to China. Both these factors will continue to play a huge role in how Beijing responds to the geopolitical fault lines. China has also been eager to highlight, though through whatever means, solidarity with major oil-producing nations and limit any fallout that could further destabilize the origin, disrupt oil supplies, and drive up energy prices. So China is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. China's trying to figure out how to play this. They need the energy coming out of the Middle East. They don't want to get involved in a shooting war, especially a shooting war that involves America on one side. They don't want to get directly involved, but they have no problem supplying those who are involved, right? I.e., the Korean War, i.e., Vietnam. China has no problem helping those people fight us, but they're not going to fight us. And we got Israel. So that's like another thing too. Like I'm supremely confident that with Israel on the ground doing what they do, and with us providing top cover, that Israel will be successful. And I think that those, places like Jordan and Egypt, places like Syria, they don't want anything to do with Israel, especially when they're being backed by us. And you're out there looking at those 2 aircraft carriers sitting in the Mediterranean. And so it's going to be Iran, Israel, America, the Saudis rocking a hard place. If it was up to me, I'm like, go ahead and just Israel, go ahead and take Saudi too. Not just because I'm dirty like that. The Kuwaitis, like all of them. Like, it's an opportunity, man. Let's just seize it all. But I guess I would be wrong. I would be wrong. I take this opportunity. We about to take the whole Middle East. But yeah, I'm supremely confident in Israel's ability and our ability to handle any nation in the Middle East. I don't have a problem with it. But China's trying to figure it out. They got their own plans. They're trying to figure it out. But we're right there, people. We are right there. We are one seaborne drone away, like one drone attack, either from an air drone or a sea drone, one drone attack from being all out, full blown. I mean, here's the thing. We haven't had a war. Congress hasn't declared war since December 7th, 1941. Right? That's when we declared war in Japan, and then we declared war on Germany and Italy as well. So the Axis, right? So that's the last time America has had an official war. Ever since then, we haven't really had big nations to deal with and whatever. But now we got Iran. We could absolutely see America, Congress, if we ever get a Speaker of the House, right? Congress could draw up articles of war and declare war on Iran. It could happen behind this. If something happens to our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, if something happens to one of our ships or our assets over there, if more Americans get kidnapped or whatever, I can see Congress declaring war on Iran. I mean, as soon as the attacks happened that Saturday, a couple weeks back, when Hamas attacked Israel, there was American politicians saying we should attack Iran. It was like the first thing, hey, we should attack Iran. It's the first thing. We got some hawks. They're like, yo, we want to get Iran. So don't be surprised. A full-blown declaration of war could come out of this. Right? It's a possibility. And if it does, it's going to be drawn out. It's not going to be a quick thing. Like I said, be ready for that selective service. Be ready for the draft, people. Hey, feminist ladies, be ready for the draft. Y'all should demand a draft card. You should demand that women register with selective service. Y'all should be demanding it. And if y'all don't, I will be relentless. If y'all don't, then there's no such thing as feminism. Then y'all should just, we'll cover that at a later date. Like if y'all don't demand the same level of equality, y'all should be sent to war just like the men are going to be sent to war if in fact we declare war on Iran and get involved in a big conflict in the Middle East. Y'all women should demand that they be treated equally like the men. Kind of curious to see how that plays out. So there's one last thing I wanted to show. And it's back to breaking points. And this came out last week. Crystal and Sagar were talking about the possibility of this thing escalating out of control. And I wanted to end with that. Let's check this out.
Genuinely can't wrap my head around how there is so much less concern for the Palestinian children, innocents who are being killed now than the Israelis. And my heart breaks for the Israelis. The outpouring of support for the horror that they experienced is actually a beautiful thing to see that global, solidarity against those sorts of senseless, barbaric atrocities. But now that's exactly like One atrocity does not justify another.
Yes, it does. You attack me and mine like that, I'm coming for you. Coming for you. And there's a lot of people who agree with Crystal, and I got a lot of respect for Crystal, but that's just, she's like, oh, that's the motherly instincts. But if that was her baby, her son or daughter, lying there, body over here, head over there, oh, she'd be all in. She'd be all in. Hamas went too far. Hamas was the elected government, and then they took over. And these, the Palestinians are like, well, I mean, y'all had free elections. Y'all voted these dudes in, these people in. They're monsters. And now they've done this thing. They're going to bring all kind of pain upon your people. I'm sorry, in my opinion, you hold some responsibility for that. But that's just my take on it.
And that's already what's happening. I mean, already complete siege. Imagine what that's like to live with no power, no water, no food, no hospital, no ability to live, to leave. And you're 2.2 million people, over 1 million of whom are children. And that's what we're now watching unfold. And, much of the world is cheering it on.
Yeah, we're cheering it on because what they did was horrific. And they can't leave. And it's funny. All these Muslim countries, they want to step up and they want to fight and they want to, they want to go up against Israel. None of them will allow Palestinians to come into their country. None of them. Think about that for a moment. Let's continue.
Very little restraint. I did see Erdogan in Turkey, not someone I give a lot of credit to often, but he's applying pressure.
He's an Islamist, that's why.
And applying pressure, also trying to be involved in some sort of like diplomatic discussions as well. But I don't think you have to be a quote unquote Islamist to just care about the humanity of the people who are on both sides of this border.
I don't disagree, Crystal. Yeah. I think what part of
and before Soccer gets in there and she was like, Erdogan was stepping up and he cares about the people. No, he wants to destroy Israel. And I think that Crystal could see that now. But she did this a while ago, like the emotions were still running high. We hadn't got the reports of the atrocities yet, right? So she's just like, no. Erdogan could care less about those kids in Gaza. He wants to destroy Israel.
The reason why this is impossible to escape is, and from what I've seen in Israel, this is an existential fight for them. They're moving to eliminationism, and they point correctly to the Hamas constitution says that the death of the state of Israel. They're like, look, they don't want us to live. They literally want us to perish. We have no choice but to destroy them. And
that's genocidal.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Palestinians. I'm talking about Hamas. They're like, we have no choice but to destroy Hamas.
Okay, listen, accountability for Hamas, 100% on board with that. No problem there. But when you say destroy them, I mean, they're not just destroying Hamas. They are killing indiscriminately civilians. And so, as I said, one atrocity does not merit another. And
this is the part right here. Like they're just killing indiscriminately civilians. Hamas has embedded all of their material, all of their personnel, all of their everything with the civilians. Hamas are using the civilians as human shields. They're going to get hit. And this is why I keep stressing the Palestinians need to go to the Israelis. They used to go up to the IDF and say, hey, the weapons are over there. The personnel are over there. The tunnels are over there. Here's a map of the tunnel. Here are all the booby traps. I'm willing to go into the tunnel ahead of time to make sure those booby traps aren't there if you need me to. Just take care of my family. I'm willing to work with the IDF. I'm willing to work with the Israeli government to rid Gaza of Hamas because I think what they're doing is wrong, right? So just, I have a small legion of guys who feel like me, and we're Muslims, and we're going to fight Hamas because what they did is wrong. It goes against the Quran. It goes against the word of God. But they're not doing that, are they? They're not. They're not doing that. Why? Because they believe in what Hamas is doing. I think Crystal's having a hard time understanding or accepting that.
And look, for me, the core rot here outside of, the terrorists who have their own agency in the atrocities that they committed, but it's an ethno-state that has, increasingly moved to being an authoritarian police state vis-a-vis the Palestinians. And I don't know how this is just not a sustainable situation. You are going to continue to have this violence, death, terror, chaos. And that's why this is so difficult to watch unfold, because as you said, I just don't, I mean, Netanyahu and his party have already taken a two-state solution off the table.
Well, most
Like-
Israelis don't really believe in it anymore.
They don't.
Yeah.
But the reason they didn't believe,
Yeah, but they gave it a try, didn't they? They pulled out of Gaza and look what happened. They gave it a try. They didn't believe in it. Was they hard in it? Probably not. Were they cutting it? Were they, cheating and kind of, breaking the rules a little bit? Absolutely. We're letting different Jews settle in different places and all that. I think that was breaking the rules or whatever. But they still went and forcefully removed a lot of Israeli citizens from these places. And a lot of times Israelis were fighting Israelis to get the people who were in, settled in these different parts of Gaza to move. It is what it is. But if I were the Israelis, I would never leave Gaza again, ever. I'm not doing that again. Two-state solution, my ass. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it for at least 50 years. That would be my take on it.
even is because they were led by their leaders, people like Netanyahu, to believe that, oh, this is the status quo, this is going to be fine, it's going to be sustainable. I mean, that's been completely shaken at this
To
point.
be honest, Crystal, the Palestinians don't really believe in it either. I mean, this is where we also have to be honest.
No, majority
Vast-
do believe in a
But the
two-state
vast
solution.
majority of them support Hamas, and that's just like when we're in that situation. Like, even in the West Bank, I was looking at polling. Hamas got a 53% approval rating inside the West
But a
Bank, where
majority of
Fatah is the-
Palestinians
Yeah.
support a two-state solution.
And this is where Crystal was wrong. I'm sorry. And Saga's just keeping it 100. They want to destroy the Israelis. They want to destroy the Jewish state, wipe it away from the face of the earth. You don't believe me? Those are their words. Just Google it. You can hear them say it. All the other Muslim states. I don't know why Crystal doesn't want to accept that. And the guy got a lot of respect for her. You know what I mean? This is why I love this platform so much, because you can see this a healthy debate going on right here. I'm 100% with Sagar on this one.
Think about it from their perspective. How much they've spent a lot of time, including Hamas, as negotiating with the Israelis. And they feel like they have never been further from any sort of a peace deal. And they're right.
They are right.
So then, and any sort of global protests in favor of like BDS or trying to apply economic pressure. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. And so this again is like the horrors and the atrocities here. There is no justification for the tactics. But yeah, that's what drives people to support a terrorist organization like Hamas, is because you feel like, okay, we've been trying to negotiate and we've never been further away from getting out of this
The
situation.
issue is they've never accepted a two-state solution in the past. I mean, they've had opportunities in 48 and in the 70s, in the 60s. They didn't support it. They thought that and look, I mean, I blame the Arabs as much. They always told the Palestinians, said, don't accept a two-state solution because we're just going to conquer Israel and then we'll give you guys your land back. And then they got their asses kicked in the Yom Kippur War. And we've basically been in the status quo since then. So look, I don't disagree. And there's plenty of criticism, I think, on the Israeli side. I absolutely break for Palestinians. I mean, it's horrible, that video that we showed. I don't think it's all that simple, though, is that in terms of like, they just simply support it. We are in a situation now where I think the truth is that the vast majority of the Palestinian people support violent organizations like Hamas. Also, a lot of Israelis
But
believe.
why?
Well, yeah,
It's not that
I don't
they're not-
disagree with you,
because
but
that's
we
the
are
thing is,
where we
like,
are. Yeah.
People are not just born. Think of those little kids. Like, what kind of
Crystal, who cares why? Once they start beheading babies, who cares why? We're going to get rid of them. We're going to get rid of these. We're going to get rid of Hamas, and then we can start talking about why after that. I don't understand why she won't accept that. And there's a lot of people out there who feel that way. I mean, America has its problems, but America doesn't have the same kind of problems the rest of the world does, right? Because we do have our freedoms, right? Even though people don't appreciate those freedoms, people aren't willing to actually serve, to protect, and defend those freedoms. It is what it is, right? 7% of all Americans in the history of America has actually served in the military. 7%. 7%. Right. But it is what it is, man. Like you have your right to be a fat loser living in your basement, whacking off the porn. That's your right as America. You be as dumb as you want. That's your right. But Crystal refuses to accept the fact that the Palestinian people, overwhelmingly supports the brutal tactics that Hamas has used in the past, are trying to use now, and will use into the future if they're not dealt with now. She just doesn't want it. And she's like, well, they're doing it, but this is why. Who cares why? I don't care what your reason was for coming over here and deleting my family. I'm coming for you. I'm going to deal with you and your people. And then after I deal with you guys, maybe I can reflect on it. Maybe. I could care less. We could care less why Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor December 7, 1941, the sneak attack. No one cared that the Japanese ambassador was trying to give the declaration of war, or, to the American ambassador, but the meeting, they couldn't get in because of the meetings. No one cares about the time that was messed up, the timeline. Like, no, we were trying to play by the rules of war. We just want to get in at the last second, 3 or 4 hours before we attack you. We told you we was coming. No one cares about that. That's what happened, though. No one cares. America could care less about that. Like, what we're about to do to Japan? We're about to send the United States Marine Corps over there. And we gonna fight like the Japanese fight. That's where they got their nickname, the Devil Dogs. Right? Because they said the Marines were like, they came from assailant asylums in prisons, like these evil men who come from the bowels of America. It's like, yeah. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Marines. The Japanese had to deal with what America had for them. No one cared why Japan was doing what they were doing. No one cared after December 7th, when they just attacked us like that. So we sent the Marines over there, but they said their prayer first.
Pray! This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Yeah, and they got down in Guadalcanal, in Peleliu, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. To this day, the Japanese people know who the United States Marines are, along with the rest of the world. So, Crystal, doesn't matter why the civilians embrace these murderous people who call themselves Hamas. Doesn't matter. They about to get dealt with. They shouldn't have done what they did. Now they got to pay for it. Do I feel bad for the kids? Yeah, sure. Oh, well.
What ideology are they going to support? Where does ISIS, where do terrorist organizations come from? Like, it doesn't come out of nowhere. And so, yeah, in a way, it's like, yeah, it's not simple. It's very complex, and there's complex history, et cetera. But it also is very morally simply when you just say, like, I am opposed to war crimes by Hamas.
Mhm.
I'm opposed to war crimes by Israel. And I see a lot more concern on one side of the ledger than the other side. I see a lot more care and concern for one type of life over another. And that part, I just can't, as you could say, the politics are complicated and coming to solutions, all of that is true. And the other part that I think is really simple is, I think that if you have a state that's based on being an ethno-state, you're always going to end up in this horror of apartheid, which is exactly what they have inflicted even on the Arabs who live within Israel. The occupation of the West Bank, the blockade of Gaza. I mean, these are atrocities and in violation of international law that Israel's committing all the time. And to me, that is also very morally clear and morally wrong. So in a way, yeah, it's complicated, all the nuance, et cetera, but you have to also have some moral clarity about holding both sides to account for their violations of international law, the atrocities they commit, and the war crimes they commit. And
I mean, she ain't lying. She got some good points, very nuanced points, and that's cool. Hamas started something they can't finish. Israel's going to finish it. As soon as Israel seeks out and destroys Hamas, all of them, they round them all up and they deal with all of them. As soon as Israel does that, then we can sit down with those people like Crystal who want to sit down and get into the nuance of it all. Sure, she's right. Right? Apartheid state and all that. Yep. Very heavy-handed. Yep. We could talk about all that after we get rid of these people. Gotta get rid of Hamas. And if the Palestinians really want to show that they're serious about peace, they're serious about coexisting, then point out the location where we can find these Hamas fighters and those rockets and those bullets and those bombs and everything else. If you're not going to do that, All right, fine. We just gonna have to do it our way.
We're going to talk more about the discourse. Like the fact that there are so few people who can just say that and say it clearly and be comfortable with just condemning war crimes when they happen is one of the most troubling things I've ever seen. The amount of just outright genocidal rhetoric about like finish them, punish them, destroy them, or the Israelis deserve to be massacred at a music festival because of what their government has done. It's despicable. I just can't even wrap my head around it.
I think it's horrible. And I agree. I guess I'm only just trying to represent that. I wish that people had the same level of concern I think that we're trying to represent on the show, but they don't. And when they don't, it's going to lead to mass bloodshed and to violence. And we have to kind of get into the minds of who these people are. And, you know, the reason why we are where we are here is both populations genuinely feel as if they cannot coexist with the other side. And there's a lot of blame to go around, absolutely a ton. The more the crackdown has happened in Israel, it's, you know, created more polarization inside of Hamas, which has led to more polarization inside of Israel. And, you know, I don't think this is going to be the most difficult, probably, moment diplomatically to solve. The past ones, Yom Kippur and the 6-Day War, we were dealing with nation states like Egypt and Jordan and others. Here, we're not dealing with that. We're dealing effectively with one state and then a terrorist organization, which also happens to be in charge of 2.2 million people with a full-blown humanitarian crisis. And then the states are all surrounding it as well. So I don't know. I mean, this is why it's so difficult to talk. This is why nobody has been able to solve it so far. So there you go.
Hey guys,
I mean, like I said, it's a very, very, very difficult situation. It's not going to get any better anytime soon. Right? They're not going to be able to sit down and talk like grown-ups. They're not going to be able to use their words until Hamas is dealt with. Hamas has to be dealt with. Simple, plain, done, end of statement. We can't do nothing else until we deal with them dudes. Now, once Hamas has been dealt with, all right, maybe we can talk about what's going on. But it's going to be a very hard and long road for the Palestinians because they support Hamas. They vigorously support Hamas. They're still supporting Hamas. Even they're letting their city get wiped out. All those tall buildings turn to rubble because they're not telling Israel and the Israeli Defense Forces where to find Hamas. So as long as that's the case, man, oh well. It's going to have to do what you got to do. You can't reason with everyone. And when you get to a point where you can't reason with people, you got to give them a reason. And sometimes they don't want that reason. And keep in mind, no matter what, no matter how this goes, Hamas started this one. They started this. Israel's going to finish it with the backing of the United States of America. So that's my take on that, guys. I hope that was informative for some folks, man. Again, all that stuff is linked in the descriptions below. You know, I'm a soldier, so for me, it's clear. I see what time it is. But for those of you who aren't, maybe you guys are more peaceful, you come from a different background, a different bubble, and you see this differently, hey, don't hesitate to hit me up. You can hit me up right here. You can leave comments. There's my Instagram right there. I really want to know podcast, all one word. Type that in on Instagram and it'll take you right to my page. Let me know. I mean, if am I missing something here? Let me know how you feel. You know what I mean? We can have that positive discord. You saw that the Crystal and Saga were able to have that back and forth. You can see the Crystal was very passionate about what she was saying, but so was Saga. He was like, look, bro, like I see it, but he's doing his best to be that voice of reason. But she's like really emotional about it. Not emotional, the fact like she's crying at anybody, but she's like, no, you know, they're both wrong. Okay, they're both wrong, but they're gonna have to finish this out. If we get to a point where we're warring, we're both wrong anyway. Right. And there's a video out there somewhere when Saga was talking about how the Arabs are not even taking in the Palestinians. I mean, the Palestinians don't even have to be there, but no one will take them in, so they're stuck there. Right. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I'm gonna find that and make that a short because they was making some really good points. That was early on in the conflict. So that's that. I'm done. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for rocking out with me. Again, this has been a I Really Want to Know Slant Downrange podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you guys. I'll be back probably tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably do like an early show or something like that. And then like on the weekends, I'll be just posting stuff randomly on Instagram. Be looking out for that. I'm start doing more Instagram lives too. That's what I plan to do. So if you catch me on Instagram, I'm doing a live, boom, just jump up there and let's chop it up. I appreciate y'all. I really do. To all my Joes, thank y'all so much. For everybody who was new and all you Ninja Watchers out there, I appreciate all of y'all, man. I'm DL Saint. I gotta go. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.